Hi guys, very good morning to all of you. How are you all? I believe you all must be feeling very happy, energetic and good. So in the last lecture, we had discussed in detail the strategies which are to be followed in the fast track batch. How will I be teaching you and what will be the expectations from your side to me? What I will expect that yes, you have to do. And let us take a pledge on this very first day of starting this cost fast track batch that you are going to religiously follow each and everything which I am going to teach you. So we are very excited that yes, we are going to start this journey, and believe me, this journey is going to be very fruitful, very much worth for all of you. In the last lecture, we have discussed in detail a lot of important things. By chance, if any of you has forgotten to see that lecture or has willingly left that lecture that I don't want to see that and straight away has come to this lecture, then my child, please close this window and go first see that lecture and after that come to this, because that is the foundation of all the lectures I very clearly told. Okay, so this is the very first day. We shall start our classes with the blessings of Jagannath Puri ji and Tirupati Balaji and all the other gods which are present. Okay, so the first question which comes to the mind when starting the subject: what is the purpose of this subject? Why are we studying this subject? What will we achieve after studying this subject? So the name of the subject is cost accounting. Sir, no, sir. It's not cost accounting, sir. It's cost and management accounting. What's there in a name? Whether you say it cost, whether you say it costing, whether you say it cost and management accounting, it is one and the same thing. This is such an important subject that in the graduation that is BCom of any university, you see the Punjab University, you see the Maharashtra, you see the Gujarat University, you see the Chennai, you see anywhere in the India, you will get this subject for sure. It is such an important subject, but the name in the various universities, in the various colleges of the subject may vary. But what does that mean? Does it mean that the content of the subject will change? No. You are going to have the same chapters throughout, whether we are talking about your graduation, be it any university, or whether here that is in the chartered accountancy course. So whatever we may say it, whatever you may say it, for the sake of the name, but yes, I will keep the short name for class purpose. I will not say every time in cost and management accounting, I will always say in costing. So my lovely name for this subject is the costing. Okay, the nickname for this subject is costing. Now the question comes to the mind: when there is already a subject accounting, why are we studying cost accounting? What is the need of this subject? So this is the very basic. First of all, we will understand what is cost accounting. It will take some time. Then we will start with our actual chapter number 1. So I will take all of you to the sheet where we are going to do our all study. Okay. So let us write down the name of the subject, the popular name being cost accounting, and our nickname given to the subject will be costing. So cost accounting. The first thing which I said is that if there is already the accounting, then what is the need of the cost accounting? So we'll understand with a simple timeline. For example, I say child that this is the beginning of year, the year is passing through, and over here this is the end of this particular year. This is the end of year. When we talk about the subject accounts, or popularly called as the financial accounts, in that case, accounts say that whatever is happening during the period, I don't have to take anything. Accounts say my purpose is just the reporting. As soon as the year ends, the financial accounting work starts. Financial accounting starts only after the end of the year. It says that I will evaluate two things. I will be talking about the performance during the year and your financial position at the end of the year. Now, what is the meaning of performance? Performance means that how much profit you have earned or how much loss you have incurred. So when I say performance, performance means profit or loss, and when I say financial position, it means the balance sheet. So only after the year has been ended, the financial accounting judges that how much is the profit or loss during the year and what is the position of your assets and liabilities as at the end date. Now this is the purpose being served by the accounting. But I say, for example, if I am a person dealing in particular product, let's say I am I have I have set up a factory to produce the mobile phones. Okay. So in the first month, this is month number 1, I have performed in a certain manner. I have incurred some cost. I have earned certain revenue, and I kept working till the end of the year. Then suddenly financial accounting creeps up. It makes up the account and it say, "Oh my God, you have earned so less revenue but have incurred huge cost. You have incurred the losses in the very first year. I have incurred the losses, and they too huge losses. So my confidence is down. I am demotivated. I am thinking at that point of time that if I would have known, very very important, if I would have known that yes, in the first month itself that I am earning less revenue, or I can say I am selling my product at less price, but my costs are high, it might be possible that I would have taken some steps at that point itself to correct this particular situation. But because financial accounting says we will start our work only after the year has ended, that's why we could not identify this during the year, and we kept incurring the losses for the whole year. So who is there to guide me in this particular situation? If for example I am a manufacturer of certain thing, or I am providing certain service, and I do not know there are various components of the cost, and I am unable to find out that what is the total cost and how much selling price should I fix, and I randomly fix certain selling price, and after 12 months I get to know that yes, my selling price was wrong, then who is there to compensate me? The answer is no one. So the purpose of financial accounting starts after the end of the year, whereas the cost accounting subject will help us to assess such a situation as soon as it arises, means initially only. And as I said, if we would have come across this situation in the month 1 itself, and I would have done corrections, I would have taken certain preventive steps, corrective steps, due to which it might be possible that I would have converted my losses into the profits for the rest of the year. But if I say that there is nothing called cost accounting, there is only financial accounting, I will keep incurring the losses for the full year, and the financial accounting will just say at the end that yes, boss, you have incurred these losses. So here comes the cost accounting. Here comes the cost accounting into the picture, that yes, please don't worry, we are the subject. We will tell you how much are your costs, how you can reduce this cost, and it may be possible that you are adding up something into your cost which is actually not the cost. You should not have added that, so that you may fix up the correct selling price after adding certain profit margin, and that yes, in that case you will be having the profits. So this is very very important distinction between the cost and financial accounting. So we will list down certain points immediately. So we are saying that we are talking about the cost, and over here in the cost accounting, the purpose and crux is only on the cost. We are not talking about the revenue. How should I increase the revenue? What strategy should I do? No, we are going to talk only and only about the cost and the components of the cost, how the cost is made up of. It may be material cost, it may be labor cost, it may be overhead cost, or a plethora of other cost. But yes, we will talk about the revenue only to find out the profit, if any, otherwise not. But when we go to the financial accounting, it talks each and everything about the finance of the organization, means whether you have incurred the cost or you have earned the revenue. It talks about both the things. So when I talk about financial accounts, over here we talk about overall finance. By means of overall finance, I mean say it talks about the cost and revenue and even the other incomes. Other incomes means which are not directly connected to my business, for example rent received, dividend received, etc. Okay. Then the use of cost accounting is made up of by the internal people, whereas the use of financial accounting is made up by the external people. What is the meaning of internal and external? Mainly when at the end of year you have prepared your P&L, balance sheet, cash flow statement and the notes to account. This is the information for the external people. For example, I am the shareholder of a particular company, then yes, I will get the annual report, and in the annual report this all shall be the part of financial statement. I can read out P&L, I can see the balance sheet, cash flow and the notes to account. Whereas for example Hindustan Unilever company is making the soap Dove, it is making the soap Peers. Now if we want to see that if the Peers is of let's say 20 rupee, how much is the profit in this? For example 3 rupee per soap and 17 rupees the cost. what are the components of that cost, how that 17 rupee has been made up of, what is the amount of material and what are the categories of materials, what is the labor charges in that, what are the other processing charges in that, how much is the share of overheads. That thing obviously cannot be disclosed outside external. In that case, every person will get the idea, oh, Pierce is made in such a manner, the soap is made in such a manner, and every possible person will set up its factory to manufacture the soap and will give the competition to Hindustan Unilever. So obviously the data of the cost is not for the external people, it is for the internal management and people who are internal to the organization. So this is again one of the good basic difference. Then while preparing the cost data, while preparing the cost statements, Puttar, there is no set format, whereas in when preparing the financial accounting there are set formats. For example, when you prepare the profit and loss account, balance sheet, there are exact schedules which have been prescribed by the Companies Act. But in the case of costing, there are no set formats. You, as it is for the internal management only, you can make up the information in any format which is understandable to the management and which shows the picture in a clearer manner. But in the financial accounting, you cannot make the statements as per your will. You will have to follow the formats which have been prescribed by the law. And then one more difference we will see. There is no set frequency. No set frequency. You may prepare the cost data as and when desired by the management. You may prepare it, let's say, every week or every fortnight, every month, every quarter, 6 monthly, in any manner. But when it comes to the financial accounting, there is a set frequency when you have to prepare the accounts. For example, you have to prepare your balance sheet and P&L for each year, yearly basis. You have to prepare this. So this is again one of the difference. So I hope now there should not be this question in the mind that why we are studying the subject cost accounting. So cost accounting is entirely different from the subject called accounting. The purpose of both is different. The purpose of accounting, that is financial accounting, is mainly reporting, whereas the purpose of cost accounting is to control the cost, so that our cost is reduced. As a business person, obviously we want to compete with the other people in this modern evolving world, and we will always want that yes, we keep our selling price little lower competitive so that we do not lose on the chunk of customers who can be attracted to us. And that is possible only if you reduce your cost. And for reducing the cost, we have to study the cost accounting. Let's move little further. Let us understand the scope of the cost accounting, that who are the people for whom this subject is important, who have to understand this cost accounting. Okay. So in India, to earn the money, there are two things. Either you can do your business or you can be a salaried person. If you are a salaried person, obviously in that case, you are not controlling the business. You are just rendering your services and you're getting the monthly payout. So obviously this subject is not for them. This is for the business people. When we come to the business, further in business, there are two things. Business can be done either in goods or in services. Business in goods means I am selling something. For example, I said I am selling the mobile phone. I said I am selling the mouse. I said I am selling the mouse. I am selling the pen, such kind of thing. And services means I am rendering certain services. For example, you qualify as a chartered accountant and you say that you are into practice now. You have started your practice, means you are giving the services. So when it comes to goods, again, it can be bifurcated into two parts. First is trader and the second is manufacturer. Now, what is the meaning of trader? Trader is the person who purchases the finished goods, who sells the finished goods. You can probably think of any shop, any grocery shop in and around your locality. You go to that shop, you say, boss, please give me one good day biscuit, give me one kurkure packet. Okay, so has that person produced that good day biscuit? Has that person produced that kurkure? Has he manufactured that? The answer is no. He has just purchased it from a company and he is selling to you. So, what does a trader do? A trader buys the finished goods and sells the finished goods. So, what does the trader do? He, a trader, buys FG, he sells FG. So, what are the expenses you can max to max think with respect to a trader? What are the costs he's incurring? So, the shop might be on rent. So, the rent of that shop, if the shop is owned, in that case, the depreciation. He may have 2 or 3 employees, the salaries of those employees. Then there will be the electricity expense, there will be water expense, and the purchase expense, obviously the cost of the purchasing. Not more than 5 to 6 type of costs. So do you think this subject matter is for these people, these traders? The answer is completely no. The answer is 100% no. That for traders there is not much scope for the cost accounting, because there are the limited expenses and there is not much scope for the savings in the cost over there. Then we come to the manufacturer. A manufacturer is the person who buys the raw material and he sells the finished goods. He buys the raw material, he sells the finished goods. Means what is happening over here? What is happening? There is some conversion going on. He bought the raw material, but he is selling FG, means he is preparing FG. So what's happening? If we see by an example, so what you are doing, you are inputting the raw material and there is FG coming out from the other end. FG is coming out from the other end, means there is some processing going on. Processing going on means you are buying the raw material, you are producing the finished goods. For example, I have the factory of making the clothes. So means I am buying the raw cloth and I am processing, I'm making different type of garments for the male, female, children, etc. Means there is a factory. As soon as I say factory, you can assume a factory plant, a lot of machines, large machines carrying out certain repetitive tasks, then a large chunk of labor handling those machines, some supervisors handling that labor. Now, from where this labor come, from where this supervisor shall come, there will be one HR department who will have the responsibility to source the correct set of people, correct kind of people who are matching the skill set as required by you. Now, when we are saying the factory, means there will be some accountants, there will be some chartered accountants who will be handling all the finance related work. There will be one purchase department which will see when and how and from whom to buy the raw material. There will be one selling department who will have the responsibility to spread out the finished goods all over the country, or maybe even export that particular thing. There will be one marketing department who will have the job that yes, we have to make sure that we have to compete. He will that particular department will run different type of marketing campaigns. So a lot of departments we can identify in the case of manufacturing. And yes, as there are a lot of departments, there are a lot of activities going on, so there is a scope for the cost accounting. So traditionally it has always been understood that the cost accounting subject is for the manufacturers, that this subject is mainly for the manufacturers. So when we will talk about our costing syllabus, all the chapters shall be dedicated to the manufacturers only. Whatever the chapter you will see, there will be some manufacturing kind of activity going on. So you will understand that yes, we are talking about the manufacturers. Now, traditionally it was understood that the costing is for manufacturer only, not for trader and not even for service. Now, when I come to service, there was a time when the service sector, the tertiary sector as it was called in the economics, were totally neglected in the economical contribution. It started originating around year 1991 when the LPG policy, liberalization, privatization, globalization, etc. was brought, new economic reforms came into being. So service sector was at a very infant stage and it was understood that costing is not for the service people. But that's not true. That's not true at all. There is a service sector ever evolving and the cost accounting has to play a major role for the services as well. Let us take one example. For example, you qualify as a chartered accountant, or you have not qualified now, but you said to your parents, there will be a day when I will qualify as a chartered accountant and then I will do whatever I want to do. What does that mean? Maybe you want to do something now which your parents are not allowing. So you are telling them there will be a day I will be a CA and I will do whatever I want to do. What did you want to do which your parents have denied? You gave your CA intermediate exam and you said to your parents, it's been a lot of time, I've been studying hard. I want to relax. I want to chill. Your parents are saying, yes, true, beta. You can relax, you can chill. You said, no, not here. I want to go somewhere to relax and chill. Your parents said, where do you want to go? There is only one place in India where every student wants to go to chill, to relax, to have the vibe. Wherever in India I go and I take any session or class and I ask, Beta, where do you want to go? There is only one place, unanimously, everybody says, Sir, Goa. What is in Goa? The students have some misconceptions about Goa. Oh, Goa, Goa. Nothing sort of that activity is carried out in Goa. It's a very relaxing place, chilling place, vibing place. You set your own vibe. So you said, I will go to Goa. So finally, you qualified as a chartered accountant and you are at the airport, sitting in the airline, set to go to Goa. You booked a ticket from your place to Goa for, let's say, 7,000 rupee. As soon as you set in the aeroplane, now as you belong to the finance, so there is an impossible urge in you, the urge which you cannot control, that wherever you see, you start thinking about the business activities. So you sit in the aeroplane, there are 200 seats, and you said, oh, they have taken 7,000 rupees from me. And there are 200 passengers. The plane is all full because it's going to Goa overall. Every seat is fully booked. Everybody wants to go to Goa. So you said 200 multiply by 7,000, 14 lakh rupee in this flight. Oh my God, earning huge revenue, incurring less cost. Now the question rises in mind, how that 7,000 rupee has been made up. How the airline decided that we should charge 7,000 rupee per ticket. What do you think? Okay, tell me first of all, either that, let's say that airline is Indigo. So either it is dealing in goods or services. Indigo is not selling aeroplane to you. It is giving a service to you that we will fly you from your origin place to the destination, that is Goa. So it is a service sector case. Now the question arises, how the 7,000 rupee has been made up of. Obviously, what Indigo must have done, they must have taken all the costs into account. They must have added up that, and then they must have divided it by the number of people who are in the aeroplane, that is 200, and the cost must have come to dash amount. After that, they must have added their profit margin, which must have led to the selling price of 7,000 rupee. Now let's try thinking what could be the possible expenses. First of all, there is a air hostess in the plane, at least 3 air hostess. So salary of that air hostess. Then there are 2 captain. There are pilots in the plane who are making you fly, who are flying the aeroplane. So the salary of those people. Now you will say, obviously the company must be giving them a monthly salary. But yes, obviously in that monthly salary, some portion is attributed to this particular flight as well. Then aeroplane doesn't run on the water. There is a fuel, ATF, aviation turbine fuel is needed to fly the aeroplanes. Now that ATF is obviously there is a cost of the ATF. That is the cost. Now that aeroplane, is aeroplane having indefinite life? No, it is having a definite life. It may be 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. The engine is having a different life. The seats are having the different life. So in that case, there is a depreciation of those parts. There is a depreciation expense, a huge depreciation expense allocated to that. Then there is a fees which the airline has to pay when when the aircraft is standing, means the landing. For example, the landing is from Chennai. Then Chennai airport is charging certain amount from Indigo because Indigo has landed their plane for certain time to take the passengers. Then you reach Goa. When you land over there, you will have to pay the fees to the Goa airport. Now let's say the Indigo has deboarded all the passengers. The next flight from Goa is after 4 hours for that Indigo flight. So they said to the Goa airport, for 4 hours we will park our plane over here, and after 4 hours we will fly to the next destination. Now the Goa airport will say that as for the time you are parking your aeroplane over here, you will have to pay the amount for that. Parking fees you have to incur, so you have to pay that fees as well. So there are plethora of expenses. Means the scope of the cost accounting in today's world is not limited to just manufacturing organizations, but to the service sector as well. And that's why there is one chapter in our syllabus with the name of service costing oblique operating costing, that is called. Other than that, all the chapters are dedicated towards the manufacturer, and in that service chapter we talk about the different services like transport sector, like hospital sector, hotel sector, power sector, insurance sector, banking sector, etc, etc. Okay, so this is the base. I hope now we are clear. So in service sector also there is a scope for the cost accounting. Now, sir, we have understood a lot about cost accounting. How is it different from financial accounting? The scope of this. But sir, how do you define cost? Sir, what is the meaning of cost? Sir, we want to know. Okay, let's define the cost. Let's write down with me. Let's write down with me. Cost is the expenditure. Please write down with me. Cost is the expenditure cost is the expenditure incurred in producing the goods or services. How do we define cost? It is the expenditure incurred in which activity? In producing the goods or the services. Whether you're producing the goods or providing the services, whatever the expenditure is happening in that, that is called as the cost. One more sentence. It means and includes. It means and includes the expenses. It means and includes the expenses of which the benefit has been consumed in the current period. Very, very important. Has been consumed in the child current period. So what is being said over here? We say it means and includes the expenses, those expenses of which the benefit has been consumed in the current period. Now, what does that mean precisely? So there are three things. One is expense, one is loss, and the other is asset. Sometimes the students say, okay, then cost means anything which has been debited in the P&L in the financial accounting, because in the financial accounting, when you are preparing the trading and P&L account, you debit all expenses, losses, etc. So someone said that yes, expense and loss, this is the cost, and the even the asset thing, because you have bought that for use in your business, so that is also the cost. Now let us understand whether this is actually the case or something else. First of all, I wrote down expense. What is the meaning of expense? For example, I am running a particular business and my factory is on rent. I am paying a rent of rupee 1 lakh per month to the owner for doing my business in that factory, for the use of that factory. So, is it expense? Expense means anything of which the benefit has been consumed immediately in that period. I paid a rent for 1 month. I used the premises for 1 month. So, expense is always a cost. Expense is always a cost. Next, coming to loss. In your trading and P&L account, you debit the losses as well. You debit the losses as well. Let's say loss on sale of asset. In P&L account, it will be debited. Loss on sale of asset, loss on sale of investment, loss by fire. For example, a fire took place and goods worth rupee 2 lakh were destroyed. The question is it debited in P&L? Answer is yes. The next question, is it cost? For that, we will have to go over here. What did we say? We said a very beautiful word, the benefit of which has been consumed in the current period. So by loss, is there any benefit to you? The answer is certainly no. There is no benefit, there is only loss. So it doesn't qualify to be the cost. Means we get the idea, just because any item is being debited in the trading or P&L account, it doesn't qualify to be the cost. For being the cost, you have to make sure that yes, its benefit has been consumed, and as loss doesn't create any benefit, it is not the cost. Then coming to asset, for example, in my business, I have bought a particular machine worth rupee 1 cr, 1 crore rupee machine I have bought. So does that 1 crore rupee become the cost? Let us understand. Expenses of which the benefit has been consumed. Do you get a benefit by the machine? Yes, I get the benefit. It will help me in producing my goods. But it says the benefit has been consumed in the current period. So the whole benefit of the machine has been consumed in current period. Answer is no. When you bought a machine, it is having a life of more than 1 year. You will get the benefit for more than 1 year. Means it qualifies to be the asset, and its benefit, for example, the life of it is 10 years. So the benefit will be taken from it in the 10 years. So you cannot charge the whole cost of 1 crore rupee in the cost one time. For this particular year, you will have to take only the part which has been consumed, and that part is called as the depreciation. For example, 1 cr is the cost, 10 years life, there is no residual. So 1 crore divided by 10 means 10 lakh per annum is the cost of this which is being incurred. So I will take only that cost of the asset, of which I am consuming the benefit. So I'll write in bracket depreciation part only. Depreciation part only. Very important. Please reach till here. Okay, so let's move ahead, and for once let us map our syllabus and then we go ahead. Let us map our syllabus once. So let's write down the heading syllabus. First chapter being Introduction to Cost and Management Accounting, or you may say the basic concepts as well. It is mainly theoretical in nature. Introduction to Cost and Management Accounting. Chapter number 2 being Child Cost Sheet. Chapter number 3 being Material Costing. Chapter number 4 Labor Costing. Chapter 5 Overheads. Keep jotting with me, keep jotting down. Number 6 Activity Based Costing. Number 6 Activity Based Costing, or popularly called as the ABC. Then budgetary control. Then budgetary control. Then job and batch costing. Number 9 being process costing. Number 10 being joint and byproduct. Number 10 being joint and byproduct. 11 being standard costing. Number 12 being marginal costing. Then reconciliation of cost and financial accounts. 14th being integral and non-integral system, and the last being service costing. As I said, it can be called service costing or even the operating costing. Operating costing, one and the same thing. There used to be one chapter earlier which is contract costing. It is no more in syllabus now, so I will write down and cut it down. If you meet any old student, they may say, oh my god, you have not done contract costing. So please tell them it is not in syllabus anymore. It is not in syllabus anymore. Okay, so this is the mapping of syllabus. When we are doing our batch, we have to cover each and every chapter. We will talk about each and every chapter, and mainly it will be in this hierarchy only. Chapter number 1 I said is mainly theoretical. So I don't want to start with the theory. I will start with the chapter number 2 first, that is cost sheet. And in between, I will be covering, because there will be a lot of theory which will be covered while doing the cost sheet itself, right? And the rest of the theory from chapter 1 shall be done after we are done with the chapter cost sheet. Okay. And after that, all the chapters shall be in sequence. The same sequence which we will follow in lecture, I have written down the chapters in that particular sequence only, child. Okay, ji. So let us start without any further disturbance. Let's write down the chapter on a fresh page. Let's write down the chapter cost sheet. Let us write down the chapter name cost sheet. Okay. Before starting, let us take one example. Let to understand what does this chapter do, what is the meaning of it. For example, your mother gave you 1,000 rupee and she said, go to the market and get these things for me. She said, buy the wheat, buy rice, buy this dal, buy this particular thing. Let's say, buy the onion, buy the potato, buy the tomato, buy the coriander, etc. List of various items she gave to you. You went to the market, you bought each and every item. You came back home. You said, Mom, I have got each and everything. This is rupee 50, which is remaining out of 1,000. So please keep this rupee 50. Your mother is wondering, because as per the calculation of the mom, you must have given her 150 rupee, but you gave only 50. No, 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 please don't. Some students are thinking that the child has eaten something, has consumed something, maybe burger, pizza, dosa, anything. No, 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 he has not done anything, please. The child is a good guy. It's a good child. Hanji. So it gave only 50 rupee back. Now the mother is questioning, which item did cost what amount? You remember certain, you said, I went to take the onion. Yeah, onion was 30 rupee kg and I bought 3 kg, so 90 rupee. The rice was 35 rupee kg. I bought 5 kg, so it was 175. Yes, but you are not remembering the price of each and every item with clarity. And this is in only 8 to 10 items. And right now you have purchased, and right now you have forgotten. Now just imagine the organizations working on such a large scale, having at stake the millions and billions of rupee, plethora of expenditure, more than 1,000 type of expenditure, different kind of revenue. Who will remember in the organization? How will it be remembered in the organization? So the solution to the problem is, if that particular child, whenever it bought the item, it must have made a note. Against the wheat, you must have written, okay, 100 rupee, rice 175, onion 90, potato let's say 70, coriander let's say 50. If you must have noted it down alongside each item the amount, and then the mother would have asked, you would have answered with confidence, mom, yeah, I tell you, you ask me which item do you want to know, I'll tell you the amount. But it would have been possible if you would have written, means you would have maintained the written record of that. So similarly, in the organizations, to maintain a written record of the costs which have been incurred, there is a thing called cost sheet. So that's why the name of the chapter is here. So cost sheet means we are going to prepare a sheet or a statement in which we are going to accumulate all the expenditures which have been incurred by the organization. So we are ready to rock. Okay, now you have to remember what I taught you in lecture number 1, that whenever I am going to teach, what I will do, I will write the concept number and I will write the name of the concept. I will speak about it. I will give the knowledge about it as I gave you with the example, and then we will write about that particular concept. So in the similar format, write down concept 1, basics. Write down concept 1, basics. A cost sheet or cost statement, a cost sheet or cost statement is a document, is a document which provides the detailed cost information. Cost sheet or cost statement is a document which provides the detailed cost information. It shows in detail. It shows in detail the various elements of cost. In detail, it will show the various elements. When we will make the format of the cost sheet, we will go through each and everything. Okay, so this is the basic for the cost sheet. We can write down one more line. It can be prepared. Now the question arises when it is prepared. So it can be prepared weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly. It can be prepared at any frequency as desired by the management. There is no set frequency for preparing the cost sheet. And if you remember, I have given you one book, Costing Raga. I said that is mainly theory. So this costing, as I said, mainly is a practical subject. The theory is very less in this subject. But yes, whatsoever the theory will be, we will keep doing side by side. So if you open your Raga book, in that you open the chapter cost sheet. You open the chapter cost sheet, you say, we have written down this thing for whatever is going to be the relevant theory. We will write down that majority in the class as we wrote down over here, and the other theory we will find over here as well. So we have already written cost sheet is a document providing the detailed cost information. Classification, it says the cost information is presented on the base of functional classification. We are going to talk in the concept number 2 about the classification, so don't worry. Periodicity we have written weekly, fortnightly, monthly, quarterly, half yearly as you want to prepare. And what are the various uses, as it will show in detail the total figure. So there will be the total cost figure, and you can find out the cost per unit as well, because you will have the number of units which you have produced. So when you divide the total cost by the number of units produced, you will have the cost per unit as well. And once you're having this data, you can do the comparison either with the other firms or within your firm as well for the previous year or the average of previous few years, etc. You can prepare the cost estimate, because now you are having the cost per unit. So for example, you are getting a particular you are getting a particular order from a party, and they want you to submit your tender. As you are having the cost per unit information, so you can easily submit the tender as well. Now as you are having the cost, you can find the selling price by adding the profit as well. As you are having the cost and you want to reduce it, so you can know how much cost is to be reduced, you can control the cost. And because there is the cost figure, and if you are having the sales figure beforehand, you can identify the profit as well. So these are the various uses, not at all important for the examination, but still we did read it. So we come to the concept number 2. So whenever I am going to do any concept, I will start a fresh concept from the fresh page. So this concept 1 is basics, it's done. Now coming to concept 2. Coming to concept 2. Elements of cost. Elements of cost. Very good. Very, very special. Okay. We will study it with the help of a diagram. So all the elements of cost for the purpose of costing are divided. Oh, sorry, I divided into 3 parts. I said 2, and I made 2, and I was going to say 3. So I have to make 3. So all the elements can be identified into 3 parts. Those 3 parts are material, labor, and number 3, expense. Obviously any expense other than the material and labor. So the whole cost is identified into 3 parts: material, labor, or expense. Please remember the basic which I taught you today, that we are presupposing that costing subject is only for the manufacturing organization. If it is for service, there is a separate chapter, service costing. So whatever I am manufacturing this pen, I am manufacturing this quote, whatever I am manufacturing, it says the whole nature of expense can be divided into three parts. Either it will be material, or it will be labor, or it will be any expense other than the material and labor. Okay. So, for example, I say that I am making this mobile. So, to make this mobile, there is obviously a touch screen required. Means we are talking about material. Then labor. In the factory, a lot of people might be working. So, all that will be categorized as labor. Even the skilled people, even the unskilled people, the chartered accountants, company secretaries, engineers, whoever so is working, that will be classified as labor. Any other expense other than material and labor is the category number 3. Sir, what is any other expense? For example, the rent which is being paid for the factory, the electricity bill, So all those things which are neither material nor labor are classified as the expense. Just a second, there is some technical issue going on. I hope it will be sorted out as of now. Okay, so we were at material, labor, or expense. Now these all three are further classified. All of these three are further classified. How? Let us see. Material, labor, and expense, all of these three can be classified into two parts each. This expenditure can either be direct or it can be indirect. Means the material can be direct material or it can be indirect material. Similarly, the labor can be direct labor or it can be indirect labor. Likewise, it can be a direct expense or it can be the indirect expense. Okay. Okay, let us understand the meaning of each and every point and then we move ahead. What is the meaning of direct material? So we said material, and under that there are two things, direct or indirect. Direct material is any such material which can be identified in the finished product on a per unit basis. For example, this is the phone. In this phone, there is a touch screen. Okay. Now, to manufacture one phone, to manufacture each phone, a touch screen is needed, which costs rupee 15,000. So this qualifies to be the direct material. Let's understand again. What did I say? Any material which is required and which can be identified on a per unit basis in the finished product. Means to have to make to manufacture this one mobile phone, how much rupee is fixed for the screen? 15,000. Means yes, 15,000 is the direct material. For example, in that particular factory where these phones are being made, there are a lot of machines, and the machines keep moving on smoothly. A lubricant or some kind of oils are used for lubrication of the machines. Okay. So, is that lubricant, is that oil a material first of all? Is that lubricant with which you are lubricating or the oil which you are using, is that a material? Yes, material is something which is tangible, which is being used. Now, can I say to manufacture one phone, how much of the lubricant is used? How much is the cost of lubricant? No, there is a remote relationship between the two. Lubrication is being done on the machine, and from that machine the phones are being manufactured. But for one phone, how much is the lubricant oil cost? Can it know that? The answer is no. Means if a particular material cannot be identified on a per unit basis in the finished product, that material is the indirect material. For example, you qualify as a chartered accountant, and you get placed from the campus placement. 24 lakh rupee package, you get placed in the, let's say, ITC company. You go over there. Now the question arises, your seniors are teaching you something, or you have to note down anything. So will you take the pen, diary, etc. from your home, or the company will provide you? The answer is company will provide me. So you ask your manager, boss, I need the diary and the pen, calculator, etc. so that I can perform my duty. He said, no worries, no worries. You go to the store, or I will send some subordinate junior to the store. He will get you these things. Now the company has incurred the cost of that diary, calculator, pen. Is that a material? The answer is yes. Now the ITC company is producing, or let's say you are placed in the Samsung company, not ITC, Samsung only. Now the Samsung company is making this mobile. To make one mobile, how much is the cost of your one pen, one diary, one calculator? Is there any relation? The answer is no. To manufacture one phone, how much is this cost being incurred? The answer is completely not relatable to that. But still, it was a material which you got, diary, calculator, and pen. But these are remotely collected. So these are indirect material. I hope you are understanding what I'm teaching you. Then comes the labor part. I said labor means every workforce which is working in the organization, every employee. What is the meaning of direct labor? When you are able to identify the amount of charges paid to your employee per unit of finished product, that is the direct labor. Other than that, any amount paid to your employees qualifies the indirect labor. So you joined as a chartered accountant in the Samsung company on a package of rupee 24 lakh. Is your salary a direct labor or indirect labor? Answer is indirect labor. To manufacture one phone, how much of the salary has been paid to you? Is there any relation? The answer is no. So this becomes indirect labor. Example of direct labor. For example, this phone is made up of 50 different parts. There are a lot of chips, batteries inside this phone. So let's assume it is made up of total 50 parts. Some parts have been bought from outside and some parts are being manufactured within our factory on different machines. And we have kept the employees, and for this purpose that you have to collect 50 items and you have to assemble the phone. It takes 2 hours for an employee to assemble the full phone, and we pay them 300 rupee per mobile phone for assembly. Now, for every phone which is being assembled, I am incurred rupee 300 as the direct labor, rupee 300 as the labor. Now, as the amount has been related clearly to one unit of finished product which remains fixed, it becomes the direct labor. And the amount paid to any other employee, for example, the manager of the company, the supervisor of the company, the purchase manager, etc., these all are indirect labor. At the end, there is a category of expense, means anything which has been incurred, any expense which has been done other than material and labor, that comes under the head number 3, which is further classified into direct or indirect expense. Now, what is the meaning of direct expense? If you are the expense other than material and labor, but still you can be identified on a per unit basis, means you are direct expense. And if you are any expense other than material and labor, but which cannot be identified on a per unit basis, you are indirect expense. So first, let's complete the indirect expense part. Let's say we are paying a rent of 1 lakh rupee per month for the factory in which the operations are being carried on. Is this rupee 1 lakh material amount? No. Is this rupee 1 lakh being paid for the labor? The answer is no. Means it comes in category 3 expense. Now understand. Now let us see. Can I know for the phone manufactured how much rent I has incurred? How much rent I have incurred? The answer is no. Some students will say, yes, sir, we can find out. Sir, for example, sir, you paid rupee 1 lakh. You produced 1000 phones. So means, sir, 100 rupee per phone is the expense. In this manner, obviously, I can find out the indirect material and indirect labor as well. We are not talking about that. We are saying, has the expenditure of 100 rupee per phone being incurred on the 1000 phone? The answer is no, because it may be possible in the next month you are producing 2000 phone. The answer will come down to 50 rupee. The answer will come down to 50 rupee. So this is not the quality of the direct expense. I will rub it. So for example, you paid a rent. Can you know for each phone how much rent did you pay? The answer is no. So it is an indirect expense. Let's example electricity. You got an electricity bill of rupee 5 lakh for this particular year. You got an electricity bill of 5 lakh for this year. Can you say with clarity, absolute clarity, for each phone, what is the amount of electricity comes? The answer is no. So these are indirect expense. Now, what is indirect expense? Usually, this is very small area where there are not much expenses. Where there are not much expense. Still, for the sake of example, we will frame one for the understanding purpose. For example, I saw that yes, this mobile phone business is very booming. We have a lot of population. India is made up of lot of people, and I am thinking that in this 150 crore population, if I also launch my brand, I will also sell the mobile phone, I will also be rich. So I started my own brand. I started my brand. I kept the name. I kept the name Prince. Prince mobile phone. I have given all the features which are found in a Samsung phone, in a rupee 1 lakh phone. I have given all those features in rupee 40,000 phone. I thought, aag laga di, aag laga di. I will be hit suddenly. I thought so. And I introduced my phone in the market with all the retailers. After 1 month, I took the data from all those retailers in the country. I said, boss, how many phones have you sold? The answer was, only one phone has been sold. In all India, only one phone has been sold. I said, how can it be possible? And I asked, how much Samsung phones have been sold? They said, sir, Samsung 5 lakh units have been sold in this particular month. I am completely shocked. How can it be possible? My phone is performing well. My phone is having all the features. Still, my phone is not able to click. I went to the Samsung headquarters. I took an appointment with the CEO. I went to him. I said, boss, you are selling 1 lakh rupee mobile phone. I am selling the same features in 40,000 rupee. Still, why you have been able to sell 5 lakh mobile phone and I have not been able to sell even one? He said, boss, do you know one thing? I said, what? Kera, your one phone I have bought. I was shocked. I said, you have bought my phone? He said, boss, this is an amazing phone. I'm not using Samsung. I'm using the Prince mobile phone. I was shocked happily that the Samsung CEO is not using the Samsung phone, but my phone, my brand. He said it's ultra smooth, it is having so much of feature, it can easily beat Samsung phone. I said, then why it is not able to beat? Why you have been able to sell and I have not been able to sell? He said, boss, because we are a brand. We are a name known by Samsung. He said to me, if your phone must have also been the branded phone of Samsung, it must have easily been sold. So I said, oh, this is the game. So I asked him, boss, tell me one thing. Can I use rather than Prince Samsung on my phone? He said, no, because Samsung, this is the brand, this is the name on the base of which we are selling the phones and on the base of which we are earning. If you will write down our name, in that case, there will be no difference between you and me. So you can't write. I still urged him. I said, okay, let's do a thing. Let's do a partnership win-win situation. You let me write down Samsung phone. I will pay you something. So the deal was done. He said, I can write down Samsung on the back of my phone for branding purpose. And I will have to pay rupee 10,000 per phone to Samsung for using their name. So I am paying for every phone, I am paying rupee 10,000. I am paying for every phone. Means it is a direct expense. Am I paying for the material? No. Am I paying for the labor? The answer is no. But still, I am paying the expenditure, and it has been identified on per finished product basis. So it becomes the direct expense. I hope you are absolutely clear about now what is happening. So these are the things. So what we will do, we will now join the relevant part. We will join all the direct parts into one. All the direct parts when joined into one, this is known as direct cost or prime cost, you may say. Direct cost or prime cost, you may say. Let's now join all the indirect parts as well. Let's now join all the indirect parts as well. When you join all the indirect parts, these are known as indirect costs. These are known as indirect costs. and the popular name given to them is overheads. These are known as overheads. When we will prepare the cost sheet, when we will see the format of the cost sheet, this classification is very relevant. On this basis only the cost sheet shall be prepared. Further, when we prepare the cost sheet, these overheads are divided into three parts. These overheads are divided into three parts. Number one is, this is the short form for overheads, OH and small s, production overheads. Then administration overheads, and the third being selling and distribution overheads. Please reach till here. Okay, so after understanding the elements of cost, let us now move to the format of the cost sheet, which is the major part. But before having the format, we had to take the knowledge of the elements which we have taken, and now we are going ahead. So let's write down concept number 3, format of cost sheet. I hope each of you is writing along with me whatever is being written. So format of cost sheet. Concept number 3, format of cost sheet. So when preparing the format of the cost sheet, as a header part, we should write down of which organization we are preparing the cost sheet and for which period we are going to prepare the cost sheet. Let's write down cost sheet of, just a second, cost sheet of dash for the period dash to dash. For how much time you are preparing it, you have to write down. Then there are heading, serial number, particulars, and amount in rupee. Let us prepare the format. Number one, direct material consumed. Number one, direct material consumed. Number two, direct labor. So these are all being added. Number three, direct expenses. First of all, we shall add each and every direct thing: direct material, direct labor, direct expense. We added all this down and we get the prime cost. We added 1, 2, and 3. We got the prime cost, 1 plus 2 plus 3. Number 5, we added down factory overheads, and you may please keep noting down. I shall give the detailed explanation once we have written each and everything, is equal to gross factory cost. Against this, please keep writing gross factory cost on FG and WIP. These are our words for understanding purpose, not a part of cost sheet. Number 7. Plus number 7 plus opening stock of WIP, and number 8 minus closing stock of WIP, where WIP stands for work in progress. We get number 9 as net factory cost. 6 plus 7 minus 8. Against it, we will written on FG only. So this is number 9. Number 10 plus quality control cost. Number 11 research and development cost. Number 12 administration overheads. Administration overheads within the bracket related to production activity. Number 13 is minus credit for recoveries, or it may be called as scrap, or it may be called as byproduct. It may be called as byproduct. Number 14 plus packing cost primary. After doing this, you get the cost of production. So point number 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12 minus 13 and plus 14. In this manner, you reach the cost of production. Number 16, you say plus opening stock of finished goods. Number 17, you say minus closing stock of finished goods. And as number 18, you are left with cost of goods sold. You are left with cost of goods sold. How? You will say 15 plus 16 minus 17. As number 19, you add administration overheads. Administration overheads of general nature. You add marketing overheads. You add marketing overheads. Amongst marketing overhead, there are two subparts: selling and distribution. The collective name for it is marketing. So we will say selling overheads and distribution overheads. 21 number, we will say plus interest. and we will get the cost of sales. In 23, we will say profit if profit plus if loss minus, and we will get the figure of sales. So this is the format of cost sheet. I would have given as a printed format to you, but I strictly and strongly believe that whatever we are writing, then we may be able to remember it in a much better way as compared to when we see something which is pre-written. So we will write down each and everything in the class. So this is the format of cost sheet. There may be a lot of questions in your mind. So relax, wait. We are going to understand the whole cost sheet. Okay. I hope you have written it down. So we are starting the understanding part. First of all, when I write down the elements, I said there are three direct expense, three indirect. Now, whenever we are doing something, first of all, we want to identify that thing which is the easiest to identify. For example, you go to the examination hall. First of all, you will want to attempt those questions in which you are for sure you are confident that yes, boss, I know the answer of this question. Similarly, while preparing the cost sheet, among the direct and indirect expenditure, which are the ones which are clear to you that yes, this is the amount, boss, direct expenses. So what we do, we write down all the direct expenses first. We say direct material, direct labor, direct expense. Done all the three direct expense. And as I said to you, after adding these expense, you get the cost which is known as direct cost or prime cost. So you have written prime cost. After that, there were the indirect expenses. And for the purpose of cost sheet, I said that these shall be identified into three parts. Production means factory overhead, then office overhead, and at the end, selling and distribution overhead. Now, these three expenses have been written very clearly over here. Production, that is factory overhead, administration overhead, and selling distribution by the name marketing overhead, of which the two subparts were selling and distribution. Some students may say, why you have written the factory overhead first? Why not selling overhead first? So the answer is simple. First, you will produce that thing in the factory. Only after that it can be sold in the market. So that's why there is first of all factory overhead. Then the office overhead means the all the things which have been manufactured. Let's do the accounting of them in the office. That is administration overhead. And at the end, we are going to sell that. So there will be selling and distribution overhead. Sir, we can see lot of other things over here, sir. What about these? Okay. So after writing down these expenses, there are five points which have been introduced newly in the cost sheet some time ago. And these are the points which are not very clear. Either they belong to factory or to office or to sale. So these are written down separately. You can see from point number 10 to point number 14. So what are these? Quality control cost. What is the meaning of this? As the name is clear, to maintain the quality of the product. If you are incurring certain cost. For example, you have made a particular department, quality check department, having 3 to 4 employees in that, and they make sure that whatever the raw material you are receiving in the organization, that is of absolute quality. Whatever the finished product you are producing, that is of good quality. So to maintain the quality, whatever the expenditure are being incurred, that will come over here. Similarly, research and development cost. A lot of expenditure by the manufacturing organizations is put up for the research and development ways. Well, you get a Pepsodent. Next year you get Pepsodent Plus. Next year you get Pepsodent Germi-Check Plus. So means the company is doing the research again and again and again and again, and are making the product in a much better, much refined way. So whatever expenditure they are incurring towards the research and development, that comes over here. Then this is very special. Administration overheads related to production activities. You will say, sir, there was one administration overhead there also in point number 19. Yes, if you see, I have written against this. This is administration overhead general, and this is administration overhead related to production of activity. In majority of the cases, there will be only the administration overhead general. Whatever the expense is incurred in the factory, is incurred in the office, that is the administration overhead. For example, the chartered accountants. Now, obviously, you don't have to work in the factory, you don't have to work in the plant. Your work is in a back end office where you are going to do the accounting of various things. Okay, so all this expenditure come in the administration overhead, like the director's fees, the director's salaries, etc. Everything comes over here. So what is this administration overhead related to production activity? The question will either give a hint or will give a clear cut to you. So this is the office overhead, but it somewhat relates to the production activity. For example, I say that this is the factory, this is the factory, and our machines are spread out in this all this area where the work is being carried on. But to have a better control over these workers, what we did, we made a cabin over here, and in this cabin a manager is sitting, a plant manager is sitting. The manager is sitting, he is not working on the site, he is sitting over here in the cabin just to take a control. So all the production supervisors which who are supervising the employee, they are reporting to this production, that is plant manager. So if we see, this is the administration overhead because it is of office nature, the office has been made, but it is having a close eye on the production activities, means this office overhead relates to the production. So it can't be put up over here in the general overhead. For those things we have a categorization over here in point number 12. Okay, let us see point number 14 first. We have written packing cost primary. Whenever you go to buy something from the market, there are certain things which come as a pre-packed product, and that packing is very very necessary to protect that. So that is called as the packing cost primary. For example, I go to the market, I say, boss, I want to have a good day biscuit. Now how will it give me biscuit? He will not say do the hand like this and he will put 1 2 3 biscuit. No, he will give me a packet. He will give me a packet and there is a packaging of that product. Can you imagine buying the biscuit without that packaging of good day? Answer is no. So means for certain products there is a packing without which they can't be imagined. For example, you want to buy an oil bottle. Now you will not take the bottle from your home, that boss, I have got the bottle, please fill the oil of rupee 20 rupee in that bottle. No, it doesn't go like that. You will have to buy a bottle. So without that packaging, you can't imagine the product being sold. So that is called as the primary packing. Whenever there is a primary packing, it will be added over here. As soon as I say primary packing, the question comes in the mind of students, or what about the secondary packing and what is the secondary packing? So secondary packing is something which is not essential to contain the product, but yes, which is there with the product. If there is a secondary packing with the product, it doesn't come here. I will dictate you the notes in the next class. Over there will written. As of now, I can tell you that if there is a secondary packing, that comes over here in the selling and distribution. And for the students who are wondering what can be the secondary packing, example, you go to buy dark fantasy biscuits. So there comes a biscuit packet, dark fantasy, very very exotic and very costly biscuit, uh, which was this was launched by ITC, then hide and seek, etc. They also got it into the market. So you buy that packet, it's a square kind of box, it's a rectangular kind of corrugate box. You buy that box. In that box there are biscuits, but the biscuits are having a separate packing. Each biscuit has been packed separately. Now there are two packings. The packing which is around the biscuit to protect that is the primary packing. The biscuits could have been sold easily without that corrugate rectangular box. Now that rectangular corrugate box becomes the secondary packing. So that comes in the selling and distribution overhead. Okay, and what is this written? This is written credit for recovery, scrap, byproduct, etc. Now when I'm running a factory, it is possible that lots of waste is being generated which is of no use. So I sell that waste as scrap and a little bit of amount I earn. So should I add that amount in my main sales? No, this is the sales of the product I am producing. If there is any incidental scrap, etc., due to which my overall cost is reducing. So as per the format, income is reduced from this particular point. Okay, and along with that you will see that I have written down one more point over here, interest. So this is a very controversial point. There are two schools of thought. One school of thought says that it's a purely financial expenditure, it should not be added. There is another school of thought which say it may be added. So our ICI says as of now that yes, interest may be added as a separate component of cost of sale. So whenever the interest, if any, shall be there, we shall write it down separately over here. Now let us see what else is remaining over here. If you see, you will say, sir, you have written two things, sir, WIP stock and FG stock. Whenever we are talking about the manufacturing organization, there will be three kinds of stock. you buy the raw material from the market. So there is a material, you convert that into finished product, but till the time it's not converted into the finished product, it is known by the name WIP. Okay, so what I'm saying, so you did input the material, you did input the raw material from one end, and from the other end finished product emerges, but in between it remains at a WIP. Now when I am preparing my accounts, when I'm preparing my cost sheet on a particular date, it is very much possible that I am having certain stock of raw material, certain stock of WIP, and certain stock of FG which I have to take into account. So what we are doing, we are adding the opening stocks and we are deducting the closing stock. I will tell you the logic later on, don't worry. So as of now, I want to tell you that there are three types of stock: raw material, WIP, and the FG. Sir, you have written the FG stocks. Sir, you have written the WIP stocks, but sir, you have not written the material stock. If you see, I wrote down direct material consumed. Consumed means, consumed means this is opening stock of raw material, plus you may say purchase of raw material and minus closing stock of raw material, because I am concerned with the expenditure which belongs to the current period. I need to take into account the stock as well. For example, I may say I was having rupee 1 lakh stock. I bought 20 lakh rupee worth material, and at the end the closing stock is 2 lakh. So you had 1 lakh, you brought 20 lakh. In total, your expenditure should have been 21 lakh. But you saw at the end of the period, you are left with rupee 2 lakh of stock. Means in the current period, only 19 lakh has been used. So the material opening and closing has already been adjusted while taking the consumed material. For the other two things, WIP and FG, we are taking over here. So first of all, it should be clear that we are dealing with all the three kind of stock. It is only such that two stocks are visible, WIP and FG, and the raw material was not visible to you because it was already imbibed in the material consumed. Now, coming to this part, why this is being done? Okay, let us see. So, when we added all the three expenditure, we came to prime cost. After that, we did add factory overhead. We came to a point called, we wrote down gross factory cost on FG and WIP. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? For example, this is a particular, let's say, this is 1st of April till 30th of April. For example, I am preparing the cost sheet for this particular month, 1st April to 30th April. Now, when I started doing the work during this period, I incurred material, I incurred labor, or I should like say like that. I incurred direct material, I incurred direct expense, I incurred direct expense, I incurred factory overheads, because only after the product is coming out of the factory, it can be termed as the finished product. So up till this point, all the expenditures are being done. Till 30th April, I incurred material, labor, expenses, and factory overhead. Now, let's say the total of rupee 10 lakh rupee I incurred. Means till this point I have incurred 10 lakh rupee. Now just tell me, is it sure that the amount you incurred, that all the products are finished? No, it is very much possible that out of this rupee 10 lakh, let's say when I start preparing a product, it takes 3 days to complete. Means the product which I started over here on 28 morning, that will be completed by 30th April. But the product which I started preparing on 28th afternoon, it takes 3 days. It will not be prepared the 30th April. Means there is a certain portion of the expenses which has been incurred from 28 to 30, but that product is not complete. That will be completed only in the subsequent period. Means the amount of expenditure incurred in this period is on the WIP. For example, out of total 10 lakh, 9 lakh has been incurred here and 1 lakh has been incurred here. So 1 lakh is the WIP, and is it at the opening of this period or the closing? So this is my closing WIP. If in total I want to see, total of 10 lakh has been incurred, but this 10 lakh has been incurred on this 9 lakh which has been finished, and 1 lakh has been incurred on the WIP. That's why we are saying that this 10 lakh rupee is the gross. Gross means it has been incurred on FG and WIP. But when we are preparing the cost sheet, we are seeing at the end the sales. Now, can the WIP be sold or only FG can be sold? Obviously, only the FG can be sold. If I go to take this mobile phone in the market and the manufacturer says to me, only the screen remains to be affixed. Please buy this mobile before leaving the screen apart. Can I buy? Will I buy? The answer is no. Without screen, what I will do? Obviously, so WIPs are not sold and the FG are sold. Means our purpose is to find out the cost of the finished goods, not the WIP. So I will take forward only the cost of rupee 9 lakh, leaving this 1 lakh. This 1 lakh shall be taken in the next period because it will get completed only in the next period. So what I have to do, I have to remove the closing WIP. So we say minus closing WIP, but as it is the case with this month, the similar might have been in the previous month as well. There must have been certain expenses from 28 March to 31st March, which were the closing WIP in the previous month, but which become the opening WIP in the current month. So I will need to add that expenditure because that got completed in the current period. So that's why we say you add the opening WIP and you deduct the closing WIP. As soon as you do so, the gross as soon as you do so, the gross becomes net, and now this net means it is on FG only because we have reduced the WIP impact. We are now dealing only with the FG. The amount of expenses which in the opening stock, as it got completed in the month, it got converted into the FG during the current month, and the closing stock of WIP, as it is not FG now, it will be FG in the next period. So we have deducted this and we are with the net factory cost. Just remember one thing, as I said, the closing stock of WIP, the amount of expenses of 1 lakh. This 1 lakh will be the combination of some material, some labor, some expenses and some factory overhead. So in certain question, the question may give you the closing stock not as a one figure, but it may tell you the amount of material. Let's say it will say rupee 18,000 of material is in closing WIP, rupee 42,000 of labor is in closing WIP. So what we have to do, we have to add down direct material, direct labor, direct expense and factory overhead which belongs to the closing WIP. The question will tell this, we will deal with it. Net factory cost, after that we added those 5 points, and after adding these, now my production is complete. So we call it the cost of production, that this is my absolute cost of production. We are done with the production thing now. We are left only with the office and selling overhead. Now tell me, I say, for example, we produced 1000 units in this period, and at the end of the cost sheet we are finding the profit. So profit can be found only on the goods which have been sold. I produced 1000 units, but let's say I tell you that we have been able to sell only 800 units, 200 units are still in my closing stock. I have not been able to sell this. So what I should do? Till this point, I have added all the 9 lakh rupee. It belongs to all the 1000 units which have been completed. But as I want to find the profit at the end when comparing with the sale, as only 800 units have been sold, so I have earned the profit only on those 800 units. So obviously I should compare the cost of only 800 units. So what I need to do, the cost of production is of total 1000 unit. I need to deduct the cost of 200 units so that I take forward only the cost of 800 units. 800 units means the cost of goods which have been sold. So you see, we said minus closing stock of FG, and if there was any opening stock, you may obviously add that because it has been sold in the current period, and it will give you the cost of goods, which have been sold, For example, I say there was 100 unit in the opening stock and you produce, this is the opening stock and this is the current production. So you are having a total of 1100 units, and I say there are 200 units in closing stock, means 900 have been sold. So you will take forward 900 units, the 800 of current period and 100 of the previous. In total, what amount and how many units are available? If I see 1000 units of current period and 100 of opening, total 1100 units are available for sale to me. So if you just see over here, cost of production is of 1000 unit and it is of 100 unit. If I just see this thing, if I add this down, what I can say, there is a special name for this. I can say, if I add this down, it is the cost of those goods which are available for sale. I can say cost of goods which are available for sale in entirety, in totality. 1100 units are there, and if I add down their cost, it becomes the cost of goods available for sale. When I deducted the closing stock, I got the cost of goods which have actually been sold, and we then add the administration and marketing overhead. You just have to make sure to remember that this expenditure is incurred only on the goods sold, only on goods sold. Sometimes the question gives this expenditure on a per unit basis, and the students make it a mistake by multiplying it with the total number of units. For example, the question says 10 rupee has been incurred on sale. Obviously, the amount which has been incurred on sale will be only for those units which have been sold. So you don't have to multiply by 1100 but by 900 which have been sold. So only for the goods sold you have to do this. After adding the interest, you get the final cost which can be termed as cost of sale. So our cost sheet is mainly till this point. Sometimes the question will give you the amount of sales. So you will write down the sale and you will find the profit as a balancing figure. And sometimes the question may give you the figure for profit. In that case, you will add down the profit and you will find the balancing figure of the sales. It may be both ways. So this is the format of cost sheet. Very, very important. So the target for the today's lecture was this only, to have complete understanding of the cost sheet, which we have been able to do. So in the next class when we meet, we shall deal with the practice of the questions as well. So with this, I will take the leave. I hope you have enjoyed the lecture. See you in next class, guys. Bye bye.